What's up? Finally done with the camo paint on the boat, and it's time to start working on the inside. The only thing I've really done on the inside is I kind of sanded around the rivets, that way I could put that glove on, but I haven't sanded any of the inside. The outside of the boat didn't have any paint on it when I got it, but the inside has a layer of green. I'm assuming maybe factory, I don't know. It's some old paint, and I don't know if you've dealt with old paint before, but it can be a booger bear to try and get off. Luckily, it looks like just one layer, and I'm not trying to sand it down to bare aluminum. I'm just wanting to kind of hit some of the scratches, rough up the surface, and what we're going to do is go ahead and roll on that total boat on probably 2 coats on the inside. You know, if it looks like we need 3, we might do 3. I'm not too worried about the inside of the boat because a lot of it's going to be covered up. I haven't 100% made up my mind on how I'm going to deck this boat, how I'm going to finish it out, but it's definitely going to have some floor and at least one deck up front. And I also need to lay the foam out. I'm probably going to do that in this video too, the foam in between the ribs. I finally found some that was going to work for the width of this boat, and that's easy. I mean, it will take me an hour total to do it. So, that being said, let's get to sanding. I want to show y'all guys this paint, how it dries. Like, this is the second coat, but it looks like I'm going to need a third coat. That's just how this crap looks. It trips you out where it just looks like that, but when it dries, it's like it coats better when it dries. I don't know, it's weird. But that's 2 coats, and fingers crossed that 2 coats is going to be enough, because I don't want to do any more. Oh, got some drips. That's another thing about this paint, man. This stuff runs like crazy. You'll get all the drips, come back 5 minutes later and be more drips. So I'm gonna hit all these drips and hopefully let the sucker dry and be done with it. And for anybody wondering, I still got a half gallon of this total boat paint left, and that is with really almost 4 coats on the outside of the boat, because if you remember the previous video, I messed up and hated the color of camouflage and how it turned out, so I repainted both sides. So 4 coats on the outside and 2 coats on the inside. Didn't thin anything out. Half gallon left. That's pretty daggum good. We're gonna start laying the foam in the bottom of this boat. Now, I want to go ahead and point out, I done said it in 2 other videos, but I feel like I need to stress it. Put foam in a boat like this, it's not going to make the boat sit up higher. You putting foam in a boat, because most boats have foam in the seats from the factory, and they calculate the weight and whatever, the size of the boat, to where if it takes on water, the boat won't completely sink. Because of the foam they add to the seats. They add just enough foam to keep the boat from sinking completely. Now, we're gonna add floor and a motor, trolling motor, all this crap to the boat. It's gonna make it way more. So the foam in the seats from the factory is not gonna be enough. We just don't want to sink your boat to the bottom of the lake. You know, at least you're trying to like get a little insurance out of it or something. And also, adding foam to the boat, you know, you got your ribs. So if you just laid a solid sheet of metal on top of it, it's gonna bow where that void is. So the foam we're adding is gonna fill them voids too and make it to where it's a solid floor. Now what we're using today is foam board. All you do is just measure, you know, the floor of the boat to the top of the ribs. And I think I said in the very first video that it was 1.25 inches. And that's a little bit odd. I haven't ran across one that hasn't been, you know, on a half mark, either 1 inch, 1.5 inches, or 2 inches. And like I said, this one's 1.25 inches. And I was worried about it, and somebody pointed out on that video that they went to Lowe's and bought some 1/2 inch foam board, and it didn't actually measure a 1/2 inch. It was a little thicker. And lo and behold, I went to Lowe's, took a tape measure back there, and 2 pieces of 1/2 inch of Lowe's brand foam board was 1.25 inches. So it's gonna work out for us. So crisis avoided, thanks to whoever that was. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly. If I have time, I'll throw your name down there. And that's another thing to keep in mind. If you're going to get foam board for your boat, go back there and bring a tape measure, because just because it says 1/2 inch or 3/4, it might not measure exact to that, and then it might throw you off when you start putting it in your boat and it's a different thickness. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and do this. Like I said, I want to double it up. All you do is just measure your span, length and width, and put it in there. I mean, this stuff is made of foam. It's easy to cut. What I'm using is just a razor knife, a Sharpie, and a 4-foot level to make my lines. Like I said, you know, your boat is shaped a little funky, so your measurements might be off a little bit, but you just cut it close or a little bit tight, and then you just shave off what you don't need. Throw them in there, and let's get to it. and got it done for now at least. I used 2 4x8 sheets of 1/2 inch foam. They gave me 2 pieces top to bottom. Whatever scrap I had left over, I kind of wedged under the 2 seats, which I think this ended up being 4 pieces. You can see where I joined it together, and 2 pieces in the back, which was ended up being just short, about 1.5 inches under there. So that worked out real good. And I'm going to wait and see, you know, how I'm going to deck this thing out. Like that whole front of the boat, I might add some extra foam in there, and possibly on the sides or whatever, if I have any voids where there's not going to be any storage, just give it a little extra flotation. All right, let's start messing with this camo on the inside of the boat. Alright, I ain't gonna kill myself trying to make this camo on the inside of the boat look perfect, because honestly I don't know what's gonna get covered up by decking, but I'm gonna go ahead and do most of the sides and the front and back parts of the seats, and that should be good. I mean, it's, like I said, I'm not trying to enter this into the boat show or anything. I just think it'll look a little more complete by doing the insides. I'll probably tape off this top section around it. It's like a 2-inch strip where the top rail is, and then go to town. All right, let's get to work. All right, the little project's done. No big hang-ups on this one. I should have let the paint dry before I taped off the sides of the boat, because I peeled some of my paint off. Luckily, I got a whole lot of that Total Boat paint left, the khaki color. And I'm probably gonna, you know, nick the boat here and there and need some touch-up paint anyway. So I'm gonna hold off on that little final touches to the very end, and I'll fix that stuff. Like I said, paint for the inside, I wasn't trying to get it perfect, because a lot of this stuff's going to get covered up. I still am not 100% sure on what I'm going to do with the decking. I mean, obviously it's going to be a floor in the back, and I want to do something else in the back, and then I haven't made up my mind about the front deck. I'd like to do a deck, just not exactly sure about how to do it. That's my next step right now, is I need to figure out what all material I'm going to need so I can go ahead and get it ordered. A lot of people have always asked me where I get my aluminum from, and you can get it from Lowe's or Home Depot as far as the angle and channel and flat bar aluminum, stuff like that. But that crap can get really expensive. The easiest place, in my opinion, is to get it from like onlinemetals.com. It's not cheap there. I mean, especially if you add in the shipping, but they have a lot of promo codes. They have a code almost every month you sign up for 5 to 10% off. So if you try to figure out what all you need and get a large shipment in, you can save a lot of money in that way. So that's what I need to do now. Try to map this thing out in my head, lay some boards up here and try to figure out what size aluminum I'm going to need to even do a deck, and try to get that stuff ordered so it'll be here probably early next week if I can get it ordered today. But the next video will probably be doing the floor. Kind of excited about it, because I think I found a little loophole to save some money on doing these floors in these boats. It's not like anything new. I've heard of a lot of people doing it before. A good option. So I'm interested to see how well it's going to work out, because I got it for free. So everybody wants to do aluminum for the weight of it, but aluminum can be expensive. But if you can get it for free like I did, hopefully it works out. It will be a little bit more cutting involved, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully it works out. Like I said, if it don't, I'll include it, because I like including fails. That way y'all know what you can and cannot do, or how hard or easy stuff's going to be. But anyhow, that will be the next step. I appreciate you guys watching. See you on the next one.